I see a lot of friendly faces, and I know most of you, but for some of the folks who have not met me, my name is Ben McDougal, and I'm the Midwest Regional Rep. And my voice will only last this loud for so long. So I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and Des Moines was the second community way back when, right? So we've been doing this for 7 years. Some people are like, how do you stay so energized? I've been taking these innovative energy shots every single Wednesday morning as an entrepreneur. And so in the early days, right, we're just getting together. This was like a moment to connect. Entrepreneurship is a lonely roller coaster. And so this was a chance to have some coffee, to enjoy some time together, to hear from a presenter. And over those years, one of the biggest things I've learned is the energy of accelerating others is unmatched. And so like when I was an entrepreneur and building something on my own, I could learn how someone else was building their business. And by helping accelerate their work, I was on fire on Wednesdays. And so 1 Million Cups just became like this weekly routine for me as an entrepreneur. A few years passed, and a group of friends kind of evolved into the organizing role, and so I jumped in and kind of was like, all right, let's build this thing. And so we started to build. I came to my first summit, saw what the 1MC Nation was doing, and realized that we had a really cool opportunity to expand the impact that we were making in Des Moines. And so in the evolution of a venue and kind of growing what we were doing through 1 Million Cups in our community, I kind of evolved as the lead organizer and did that for 5 years. And so we can talk about the value of fresh energy and pairing that with consistency for some of the folks who have been doing it a long time, while some of the folks might be a little earlier in their experience as an organizer. But when I kind of pull out of this heavy 1MC stuff that we've really ingrained ourselves into the last couple days, as an organizer, we are blessed. This is an energy that we are able to tap into, and no matter what you're trying to achieve in this portfolio of a career, connectors become connected. And when you pull your energy into accelerating others, it can unlock opportunities to achieve whatever you're actually trying to do. And so I kind of open with that because it's such a meaningful thing and has been part of my journey towards career like nirvana. And so I know this stuff feels thick at times, but it's also simple. And if you can create a community that understands it's community-driven, it's not just who you know and the network effect of you and your organizers. If it can become just your favorite day of the week, there's some power, there's some ease, there's some efficiency to that. And so I made sure that easy, efficient, and fun, everything just kind of flows over. I had some fun. Not me drawing it. My friend Christopher here is quite the artist. But I racked my brain on all the things that make pipeline challenging, but all the things that can also make it work. And so, talking with him, we thought it would be kind of neat to kind of start here and kind of move through it, knowing that some of the core aspects of it. Fueling the Pipeline was my title, and it really does feel like the community activation is the core of your fuel, but using different aspects in different ways at different times, they're all gonna work together. And so this was kind of the graphic that we created and worked to get towards this like community activation. And so we have some time together today. I figured there'd be some value in walking through it together, and then maybe spending some time just kind of casually talking within the groups as we've done throughout this event, and maybe bringing back some key takeaways, but also hearing what's worked for the organizers that are so knowledgeable in a lot of these different situations. And so, starting with this, like, I think a diverse organizing team makes this interesting. That's really where it begins, right? The more diverse you are within throughout your ecosystem, the more pockets you'll have to pull from. I think that's kind of obvious, but it's important to mention that. And oftentimes, the diversity of your team that works together and creates a fun thing for you to do together also translates into the audience and into your presentation pipeline, creating something that's interesting for all while still making a cool impact. And so the network effect, who I know, who I'm able to connect with and bring into that pipeline is a good start. But that's going to dry out. Right? So you're probably going to bring in some new organizers, and that might unlock a new pocket within your ecosystem. But understanding that it's not just a network effect, and that you can actually create something where the audience member has one MC on the tip of their tongue, and when they're talking to folks, all of a sudden you're not doing as much work because the community is creating an invitation for people to present. And guess what? That also creates buy-in. They're telling their entrepreneurial friend, hey, this presentation thing's magic. You're getting thousands of dollars worth of consulting, in this 20-minute thing. You need to do this. Guess what? I guarantee they're going to attend. Right? So it can generate some audience engagement when it becomes this community-driven thing. A couple of things that are tactical. I always get tactical. So know that after this session, I'm here. And 1MC is my favorite, so we can talk about this all day, every day. But I often get tactical. I think in those MC moments, it's a really good opportunity to bring the caffeinated energy. That MC is an important role. And so whether it's you or whether it's someone on your team, know that you got to come up with fire. You got to be the energy because it's early. But there's also opportunities to encourage the audience and remind them the safe space, the 1MC magic, how concise simplicity and transparent vulnerability goes so far for the presenter, of course, but also during the Q&A. Let's imagine if all of you asked one question. How great of an experience would that be for the presenter? And so in that light, mentioning the fact that, hey, this is an opportunity that's not hard. We always start with the application, but that's where things begin, and we're always interested in hearing from folks who might be ready, interested in presenting. And so having that call to action in those early moments seems like it's an obvious thing, but there might be a slide that you could throw up there to really drive that home for folks. But we've talked about the town hall thing. I think there's still some ambiguity around that, but it can really work. And whether that's a backup plan, I kind of prefer it to be more of a special thing where you're really creating a moment for your community to talk about what 1MC has been, what it is, and what it can be moving forward. I think for us, our challenge is to wrap some what that really can be. I'll give you an example. In Des Moines, we recently did it. It was planned. There were some transitions of organizers, and so as I moved out of that after so long, they wanted to hear from the community. And so it was a presentation, just like normal, 6 minutes, on 1 million cups. The new lead organizer did the thing. I thought it was really great. And then, instead of going straight into open Q&A, we broke out with a one-pager, and I can pass it along to you if you'd like to see it. But it had some of these hard questions, right? Why don't you attend 1MC? Is there anyone that you might be interested in presenting? What's your favorite moment from 1MC? Some of these questions. And so it's just a little questionnaire, and each one got a one-pager. And so you end up with a hard copy from 8 different groups versus an open conversation where you could listen to the live stream and maybe pull out some nuggets. And so after that mini breakout, we brought it back to the group and kind of had an overall community conversation. Those moments create buy-in as well, because they're committing what they want to see out of the community and who they want to be a part of with that experience. And so the town halls is a chance to actually create an opportunity to encourage folks to fuel your pipeline. And so that's a bigger topic, but within those experiences, you can remind folks that this is a community-driven effort. I think rewarding folks is natural. The gamified effect is real. And so whether that's, hey, thank you, Richard, you brought this presenter. Hey, in fact, guess what? You're going to do a community intro. So I'm going to do the MC thing, but guess what? You're coming up and saying a few words about this individual who you thought would be a good fit for this opportunity. And so that kind of, reward's probably the wrong word, but like that affirmation to the community members goes a long ways. The swag giveaway, right? I think there are ways to go beyond just handing it to the presenter or just giving it to people for no reason. You can create thickness with that swag by doing things like this, by even giving it away. In fact, watch this. I've got a tribes book. It's over on that. I'm not going to go over and get it. I've got a tribes book for the best photo out of this group that has the hashtag 1MCOS. So this is an interactive experience now. Feel free to take photos. I'll smile. But that throughout the day, not throughout the day, this session, that tribes book is going to one of you in this room. And so participate if you'd like. But that type of activity works within the 1MC environment and creates some fun competition while igniting the social media activity from within. Instead of always pushing, hey, we need presenters, this is 1MC, this is 1MC. What if all of you shared what 1MC was, connecting with each other through that process while sharing the experience within your own networks? And whether that's Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, whatever. That stuff can be aligned and go a long ways. And I helped Kinsey with the marketing stuff, so if you have some additional questions because you were unable to attend that one, we can talk more about that as well. So getting into kind of some of the quick keys to success, I think that's not where it starts. Man, they're loud over there, eh? So giving first is a really good ecosystem builder tactic. If you're not already connected within the community, attending, the chambers gatherings, the incubators happy hours, the educational organizations demo days, all the different things that are happening within your community, it takes time, right? But once again, you're going to start networking yourself and creating some value for whatever else you're doing. But 1MC is on the tip of your tongue, and so you're able to activate those folks in a way that allows you to, in a 1 in a million cups environment, showcase their events. And so now it's not 1MC is this competitive networking event that, I'm not going to send people over there. Instead, it's like, hey, I know that when I send people to 1 million cups, they're going to hear about my organization and some of the events that I'm up to as well. And so the unity and creating this vibe of 1MC as a gateway into all the other cool things happening is a really good thing that can start to generate those individuals driving people in to present. If you have folks who have been in power a long time or really have a leadership role within your community, I know this is going to sound dark, but if there can be a tactic in stroking those individuals' ego and literally inviting them personally, or saying, hey, has there been a great company that you've heard of recently that might be a good fit for this? That can activate someone that has that, perhaps closed mindset and say, ooh, I have an opportunity to make a positive impact. And that can sometimes activate those ecosystem allies in different ways. Personally asked. So I see Grayson from Ames in the house, and I know that a lot of us are part of educational organizations. This is like a recurring crop of presenters. Whether that's the energy that they might provide on a maybe rotating basis within your organizing team, or maybe it's in the audience. I know in Des Moines, we have a high school group that gets to come every other week. Imagine if you were in high school and you got to do this every other week. Like, I get envious of young entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurial mindset is taught so much earlier. And so if there aren't I almost bet there are schools, whether that's high school, whether that's college, who understand the value of that entrepreneurial mindset and are bringing younger entrepreneurs into this experience. 1 Million Cups represents an opportunity to blur the line between education and the real world. And remember what you thought about your teacher versus someone that came in who had done it? Like, that's the opportunity for students to attend, to participate. And in a lot of cases, they're building companies not waiting for the piece of paper. And so it can create a really neat chance to have those folks showcased in your 1MC as presenters. And some of the best Q&As I've always felt are for the younger entrepreneurs. People just want to do that community hug around them. I see Yuval. Like, the student entrepreneur has so much opportunity ahead of them. And look, even if they fail, they're so much further ahead than the individual in the cubicle that doesn't even know how to move. And so I get passionate for those younger entrepreneurs. Maybe it's because our generation didn't really have it. And so activating the educational organizations can really help fuel your pipeline. So social media is a natural conversation of ways that you can make sure people know presenting is free, it's easy, but you can only be you once. So, like the idea guy, the idea gal who wants to come up here and use this as a brainstorming session, yes, we can say yes to that, but is that the right time for you to enjoy this moment? Can you execute on what you take back from the Q&A? Some people might say yes, some people might say no, but there are strategic ways of not only presenting but refilling, which we'll get to next, coming back and sharing an update. And so social media is a way to make sure people know how to do it, give them links to your site, make sure they know that this is where you start. But one thing I'll challenge you is to not focus your entire campaign on that. The sense of desperation can actually work against you when it's like, we need presenters. We need presenters. Do you want to present? Sometimes scarcity can lead to urgency, and I'll get to that in a second, but avoid just always, that's your only message every time. We need presenters, we need presenters, we need presenters. And so social media is powerful. The refill aspect of this somewhat pairs into the passport as well. So know that I'm on the tech team as well. We spent a lot of time squashing bugs, and I look forward to start announcing some new things. If you are interested in that specifically, we can continue to talk because there's a lot of piloting activity that's required before the tech is actually built. But know that one of the pilots that we're working on right now is, all right, Sean, you present today. In 6 months, you're going to get an automated email that's inviting you back. And so as an organizer, you can be mindful of that and say, look, Sean, you are going to rock it today, but we are really actually also excited to see you in 6 months. Because a lot has evolved by then. And when you're weekly, 6 months later, it's not going to be like, oh, we've already heard from Sean, right? So there's enough distance there that the 6-month mark really does seem about right. And so the refill opportunity, digging back into your list of folks who have presented and inviting them back to share an update and to hear how 1MC impacted them can really make a good effect for the pipeline, but keep things interesting. See how your investment into that company has evolved. And so the refill thing is cool, and it's actually one of the easiest things to do on the website. So the passport program and refills work very similarly. I mean, once you have the application completed, it's sign in, what company, and where you want to reapply. It's like literally 3 clicks. And so it's super easy to reactivate the app for a refill. It's just as easy for me to send myself over to the Northwest Indiana group. And so the passport program is one of the things that has always exist, but never in a way that it has today. With this new regional rep writer, there is a connected era that we are now in. And we can utilize each other's pipelines to make it easy for all of us. So this is something in the opening remarks to share. Look, we're part of something bigger. And by the way, Sean, you are about to share your story and learn from all these perspectives of others. But guess what? You can go to Mankato and get a very interesting experience there. And once again, I'm not there for the exposure. This isn't like this traveling roadshow for sales. There's a strategy in going into the 1MC network and getting to learn from all these other perspectives from these other communities. And so it might be a little thick to go through, but it's not that difficult. Like this is more of a coaching to your presenters. If you're going to present in a different community, spend some time on their Twitter, look at their Facebook, see who's active in that realm. Of course you're going to have a connection to the organizing team, right? But look deeper, see the community that's active within that 1MC environment and invite them to participate. Make some connections before you arrive. Okay, now you arrive, as organizers, I think we can thicken the experience for those visiting entrepreneurs. Maybe there's a dinner, maybe there's a happy hour you can enjoy together. The 1MC moment's always going to be magic, but then why not parlay that with something else within the ecosystem? And so they enjoy the 1MC moment, they hit up happy hour within that same community. This is building an engaged network, and when they leave, they can stay connected and follow up. And all of a sudden, you've got someone who's come into your community and is now a part of it, even though they live farther away. And when they return, guess what they're going to talk about? Man, Daytona Beach is not all about beer bongs. Like, that place is cool. They care about entrepreneurs. They're building things that matter, and I had a really great time. So I'm in Des Moines, and guess what? Oh, I kind of want to go to Daytona Beach. They're going to come back and almost be an evangelist for your community. And so that can snowball on top of itself while feeding the pipeline for us as local organizers. So that's good. And I actually talked about welcoming the presenters from other communities and being strategic and coaching your entrepreneurs on how to do that well. I think as organizers with Slack, with your regional rep, making an intro, we've all seen the applications roll through and it's like, decline. It's toxic. That is not how you do this, right? It's one at a time. I'm going to talk to Karen, make sure that you know that Kate is about to apply and she's got it going on. She needs some help, but she's an awesome entrepreneur. Guess what? The moment you see that, there's excitement. It's not even a question. You're headed to Topeka, and I am excited to have you visit our ecosystem and be a part of our 1MC experience. And so the connected era of 1MC is unlocking, I think, a whole new way that you can fuel your pipeline. And I would encourage you to identify your nearby chapters, the region that you're within, and tapping into that resource consistently can be super valuable. So I kind of went through some of the tactics things. The application is easy. That's the sticking point for some. It used to be a bigger sticking point. It's still a little thick. It's been reduced. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes. And look, if you're spinning it to the entrepreneur who questions the value of it or wonders, why do I have to do this? Look, you need to know that it's part of the educational check mark for coffee. So that's what you need to know. But what you can explain to them is that this is how we're able to learn most about your company in order to properly promote the event and your business. If someone's not willing to take 10 minutes to promote their business in that way so that when you showcase them or know their name as the MC, then they might not quite be ready to present yet. And that's fine. If your mindset can just be like, look, this is where it starts, that's the only option. It doesn't become this like, okay, I'll do it for you, or okay, you don't have to do it this time. And then all of a sudden your website's not updated, your marketing starts to fade. Just make it a habit. This is where it starts. It's not that hard. And it's the way we can showcase you best. Shaking up presenters, avoid desperation, the good backup plan. So, the weekly thing with 2 presenters, that's serious effort on the pipeline. So all your organizers need to be in this role. I think if you have individual roles that the pipeline is their focus, that's valuable. but everyone's got to have it on the tip of their tongue, and that's going to go a long ways. But the backup plan is real. You're going to have someone that applies that doesn't show up. You're going to have a week where you just weren't able to fill the pipeline properly. And so knowing that you can shake things up with a reverse presentation. Everyone here, let's hear 1 minute. Let's do an impromptu town hall. The panel probably takes a little more planning, right? The fireside thing probably takes a little more planning. But those are ways that you can keep fresh while still creating sustainability on the ongoing format that people can really buy into. And so having good backup plans is a piece of the puzzle for sure. And then I've mentioned it a couple times, but we are your biggest fans and have heard from, there are 60 communities in my 12-state region, and we are doing statewide calls. And so I'm just mind blown and uniquely energized by what everyone in the Midwest is doing. But your regional rep also has been communicating with different communities. And so learning from that connected aspect is something that you should not take lightly. After I speak for a couple minutes, it's all of a sudden, I hope it still remains clear and simple and super digestible. This makes it to me look a little confusing because there's a lot on here. But if you start to fuel things in different ways and kind of fill your portfolio of activity and work to create an environment where the community is activated, your team is doing the hard work, but your community is fueling it, it can become this easy, where it's not stressful, you're out a few months, the scarcity creates urgency. I'll finish with this example. All right, Deidre, we need a presenter on Wednesday. Can you present? She doesn't want to be plan B, She doesn't want to rush to create something. It's her business. This is everything to that person. Now imagine it. All right, Deidre, you want to present? Oh, this is awesome. All right, so the application, that's where it starts. So get that done today. We can work on scheduling from there. We're out until about November. So once you get that application done, we can fit you into one of those newer the next spots. That's going to create interest, I think, way more than the desperation of we need you. And if you can achieve that, it can almost start to feed itself. What will happen is you will be 2 months out, and then you will be 2 weeks from those, and then it's time to do it again. So it's hard to keep that super long pipeline, but it's definitely something that you will find value from if you can achieve it. Fun, I'm like fun.com, so that's all I care about in this whole thing. But the tech platform, creating efficiencies, I think that's real. Know that our focus, we have this roadmap of cool things, but our focus has been activating things related to pipeline, knowing that that's one of the bigger questions, specifically for folks who are transitioning from monthly to weekly. And so a pipeline paired with technology to add some efficiency. There's some other examples I can share with you afterwards. But that is a primary focus for adding efficiencies for you to create even more fuel within the pipeline. I don't have a strong opinion on how we move forward. I feel like I've gone through the board. Looks like we have some more fun content from Christopher here. We took in some of this stuff. Should I just you guys want to talk together? Or should I read off some of these and we can communicate together? I see one point there.
Read some of those.
I see lots of points there and one quick question live. Whatever Christopher keeps doing is nice. All right. Well, let's just run through this. Cool. This is not an issue in Charleston. We have a waiting list. All right, we're done here. Everyone can go to the next section. Tips for coaching presenters. I think we did kind of talk about that in the strategy of the Passport program. I think coaching presenters is something that some folks can get stuck on. And I think of Yuval, not to call you out, but the educational folks really want to offer a really wonderful coaching thing for these entrepreneurs. And if you want to go down that route, that's cool. But know that not a lot of these entrepreneurs are going to even tap into it. So don't get too hung up on it. I literally think, without saying it's required, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you don't attend before you present. Learn the environment you're going into. Talk to the organizers you're collaborating with. And your presentation is going to be so much better off. You will have more takeaways, the impact will be improved. And so simply having people attend before they present is about as easy as coaching can get. And when you are weekly, it's not this like you have to be here on this day because we won't see you for a month. So the value of consistency continues to come into play there. And can go a long ways for coaching presenters. One of the things that I kind of rack my brain is like, all right, how much are we supposed to give these presenters after they present? How long are we a part of their life, right? And I think we all know that the ecosystem allies that we're participating in or with offer so many resources that we as connectors can point them into. And so instead of feeling like you need to be their new life coach, it's like you're more of the here. And guess what? We are here every week. And so that's the platform that I'm providing to help coach you by creating a platform that works, that's consistent, where you can learn from others. And so on an ongoing nature, I think simply providing the 1MC experience is how we coach folks after their presentation. Making the app for presenters more streamlined. The app needs a ton of work. But there are ways that we can use that app to become more efficient and automated. Imagine as organizers, instead of like trying to use a spreadsheet for tracking attendance or requiring everyone to participate in order to get a number that's never going to be accurate, why can't it just be, hey, head count, 40, newcomers, 5, done. This can be simple, and we're working in the directions to potentially, in my opinion, reactivate the value of the app. So don't give up on the app. Know that we're really focused on creating more efficiency using that mobile experience. And once again, it's not as related to pipeline as it might be, more community engagement and marketing. But that's something that I'm passionate about within the tech-flavored side of things. How to actively approach companies about attending. This is a good one. The personal invitation. Hey, gal who works in the big building who I know feels like this is, PTO. If we can activate them to create a cool energy for them to bring back and be entrepreneurs for their company, their activity within the audience during the Q&A is highly valuable. And so that's going to open business opportunities for the entrepreneurs. That's going to create wisdom within the Q&A. And maybe there's a way to do a panel of folks who are outside of that 5-year, but still able to share insight on marketing or on manufacturing, legal, accounting, how to connect to the media. There's a lot of things that go into entrepreneurship, and so tapping into their expertise, even if it's not I'm the 6-minute presenter, there are still ways of activating those folks in a couple of different lights. There's a lot here, so I got to keep this concise. Christopher, can you keep me honest on time? Sure. Let me know when we have 10 minutes. All right. How do we make this part of 1MC sustainable? How do we make this part of 1MC sustainable? I think that's what we talked about.
Yeah.
I think that's what we talked about. Vetting presenters. I mentioned you can only be new once. Having them attend before they apply. If there's a question, I would encourage you not to just decline someone, even if they've been declined by other communities. Hear what they're trying to achieve. Have a phone call. Make them attend. We're not doing a Skype thing. But hear what they're trying to achieve before you decide if this is a good fit for you. And declining a presenter is not the end of the world. If your community is focused on this and this just doesn't feel right, have them be a part of your community and let them evolve to a place where now they understand what they're going to be doing as a presenter, and it will probably be a better experience. reach out repeatedly to other entrepreneurial programs in the community, ecosystem involvement, and giving first there. Where do we start? I hope we're past that now.
Yeah.
Okay. More ideas on how to and what is allowable. So the allowable thing is kind of the 5 years and under. But from there, I encourage you to be industry agnostic. Keep things diverse to keep things interesting. I know in Des Moines, we did not do a great job of that. There was always this scalable startup, which actually led to this vibe of like, oh, 1MC is tech. This is a tech community. That was okay because that was what I liked. And so it was somewhat selfishly driven by the type of entrepreneurs that we as organizers were connected with. But in this new generation, there's opportunities for those folks to invite more of the small business pillar of entrepreneurs and hear how folks are building something that might be might be less scalable, but it's still entrepreneurship with challenges and questions and opportunities to help. And so I think looking back in hindsight, it probably would have been more inclusive to include just more types of businesses. And that, I think, can also create sustainability. Ask presenters to suggest 2 people to present next. Hey, this is good stuff. That's a good idea, and it can be done offline. You've already done the slide, you've presented it as a community opportunity, but talking with the presenter and encouraging that individual to showcase this opportunity within their own network is just another example of activating the community. So that's a good one right there. How can we encourage more people to apply more in advance? We talked about the difference between desperation and working to create some sort of scarcity. That effort can actually fuel, I think, this mentality of avoiding the desperation. Do people get discouraged if they have to wait too long to present from when they apply? This is a fair thing. I mean, business moves fast. And so if you want to present and you need it now, like A, you should have been talking to us earlier, and B, we're out maybe a month, but if you'd like to be on this list for someone who might cancel, you're already in the system. So make sure they apply. You can use the scheduling tool to get them into the next slot available, but then if something happens, look, we can move that up and you're next week, you're ready to rock. Having a list of folks who are ready to rock, whether that's an organizer, which can actually create somewhat of a self-serving vibe, but instead having a little list of folks who are ready on a Tuesday night to present the next morning can create some value to avoid that never canceling. When we talk about the value of consistency, canceling is the toxicity to that. So avoiding that and talking with folks to be in that hopper is not a bad idea. Need help filling up the applications to present each week? I think that's what we've been talking about. Create an email template to ask. Yes, I've heard this from some of the tech-minded folks. There's no reason why our platform is never going to be MailChimp. MailChimp is sweet, but we have automation based off the data that's in it that can create efficiency that MailChimp doesn't have. That's the silver lining of using the communication tool on 1millioncups.com. And so if we can create, as an example, the email template, why can't we just push send? It goes to the company, it explains our schedule, what we need from them, here's the events. It creates efficiency for you, and that's something that is on the roadmap as far as email templates to utilize the efficiency of our communication tool to its full potential. What about smaller communities who might not have members to fuel the pipeline with the core guidelines? I think that's a super fair point. Look, if you have a rural community where the population is simply lower, there's still value in weekly, right? There's still value in weekly because even if it's you and your 8 organizers and the presenter, that's a fun event. That's a fun moment where you can accelerate that person. Oh, and by the way, more people showed up, we're good. And so that's one thing to keep in mind is that weekly can still work in rural. Pipeline is challenging. So maybe it's 1 presenter that week. Maybe it's 2 when you've got students with maybe a little meat on the bone for their companies. So having a little flexibility, I feel like, is fair for those smaller communities that might struggle with simply the population that they have. I would also point you into the 1MC Nation. The idea that we only want local presenters is closed-minded and outdated. Move past that. Invite people to bring their hot ideas into your community, and it will sharpen the folks who are there. It will be a neat experience for them. And so those rural communities, I think the Passport program and your regional connectivity can be a big piece of your puzzle when it comes to filling that pipeline. So that would be my off-the-cuff suggestions for the rural folks. You got a question?
How do you get to the Passport program?
Yeah, so the Passport program is super easy. If you've done the application as the entrepreneur, it's like you sign in. You've already created the company through the initial app process, and you're just selecting the community you want to reapply for. So whether that's yours again or one of these nearby communities, that's how it works. It's 3 clicks.
It's only accessible for entrepreneurs, though?
Yeah,
Not
it's through
organized?
the application thing, yep. You would see it come through the application and then schedule it from there. But you'd also see other communities that they've presented at.
Yes.
So there is some visible identity with where they're from, what other communities they've participated in. And then I saw a couple other questions, too.
For the rural communities, I was wondering if anyone's tried out Skype to allow them to
Yeah. It's tempting to allow folks to present, and you can do that.
well, not present, just listen.
Oh, okay. It's just a hollow experience.
But if it's 40 minutes, then I did.
Yeah. And so you're talking even the live stream topic starts to weave into your question, right? Showcase. Oh yeah, she talked about folks Skyping in for rural communities, being a part of their 1 Million Cups experience, even if they're an hour out. Yes, I think the live streaming, the marketing is something that you can provide your community as a way of seeing the magic of the presentation. One quick thing, I don't want to bleed into a marketing conversation, so we can chat afterwards. But live streaming is good. Some people feel like it's going to reduce attendance. That's not really that accurate. If someone doesn't attend because they're watching the stream, like I said, they don't get it. But the one thing I would be most conscious of is talking with the presenter to make sure the live stream doesn't affect their ability to be transparent. If you give them the respect of asking, most will be like, oh, cool. Hey, I'm going to be able to spread the word. I'm going to have this. We're going to have some fun interactions during the event. And I'm going to learn how I present it. So there's some education in re-watching that live stream. And know that you might end up with 6 people during the live, but it might live on and end up being 100, 1,000 viewers. And so there is value in live streaming, but just be conscious that you never want to affect the transparency, the vulnerability of your presenter. And I think that goes a long way. So that would be a couple of quick thoughts on that. Oh yeah, how much longer do we have? We have 30 minutes more? This is awesome. Yeah.
So the Passport program sounds like it's for the entrepreneurs when they want to present, selecting the different communities they want to present at. But as organizers, is there a way for us to see everybody that presented this week or last week, so we can, instead of waiting for them to say, hey, yeah, we want to present in your place, so we could say, hey, we've seen that you've presented these 2 places, like, we would love for you to, apply, come see, like I say, come be part of our community as well.
I love it. So, not right now. The quick answer is the proactive approach to inviting past presenters to come your way does not exist.
So we have to do it the hard way, just to go each community.
The hard way is how it exists at this time.
Yeah.
But I promise, I woke up at, it was maybe 3:30 in the morning, and I was like, we've never offered a proactive way for presenters to invite entrepreneurs to present.
I'll give you a list of tech things
like
to add.
Sounds like a marketing effort, right? Within our platform. And so the one thing we want to be conscious of is we don't want to create this polished presenters only vibe. And I think that can be the temptation, is like, oh, did you see that company that presented over in Des Moines or wherever it was? Oh, we need to have them here.
No, but I say it's fueling the pipeline. It's another aspect.
So having that individual come your way is one thing, but also being open-minded to inviting folks based off what you've heard on social media from other communities, and being willing to invite folks who might not be as polished, but still coming into that fold. But to your point, the proactive approach of using the platform to activate folks and invite them to reapply, I'm passionate about, and it's on the roadmap, and it just got bumped up another one, right?
I'll give you a tech list afterwards.
Okay, good, thanks. Yeah, Steve.
I was just going to say, one of the things that we did look at is the live stream. And so when we had this time,
Backup plan,
we
yeah.
actually live streamed based on this at bar when we got to Columbus. And
Yeah, you guys are top.
had a discussion about their
That's great.
That's sweet.
if you ever need a fill, there are not just Daytona, there's other communities that do it. That
A lot of communities live stream. Yeah.
profit and still have a MC.
Nice. And the industry, the team, the topic, the company itself would create conversation amongst entrepreneurs, even if they didn't even engage with the Q&A. Nice job, Steve. A list of communities that live stream. Is that what you're asking? Sure. One thing that would be cool is a portal of all of them. Believe me, I'm just like, ding, 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 let's go, let's build. Remind me afterwards so I can make sure that that's a part of it, but it's a conversation that's had for sure. Yeah, Gary. Let's move with. Yeah. All right. Pipeline. That's why I think it's such an interesting topic, because it's one of the things that people use as why not to go weekly. Look, if you're doing a monthly with 2 presenters, that's 48 presenters a year. If you go weekly and at least get it fired up, going weekly, maybe it's 1, but hopefully gets into this 2 realm, that's not that many more. And the consistency paired with all this stuff that we're talking about can be some encouragement. But to your point, the question was, are there folks who have made that transition that we can connect with to further learn their experience? And I would say that there's not as many yet, right? I think after this experience, we're going to have a lot of folks who are going to cut the cord and go weekly. We almost, I want the hashtag go weekly. But one of the things that you don't want to do is go bi-weekly. I know that's a little tactical, but you end up getting the worst of both worlds. You lose out on the consistency while adding the confusion of what week it is. Do not do bi-weekly. That is not the approach to getting to weekly. The approach to getting to weekly is just going to weekly, knowing that you're going to have challenges with pipeline, knowing that you're going to have dips in potential attendance out of the gate. But over time, that consistency will start to snowball. The ease of pipeline can start to happen. And to your point, Karen, I think it is valuable for us as regional reps to stay connected with our regions and learn from these organizers and allow them to share their experiences and things that worked, things that didn't work. And so as a united nation, we can move towards core versus feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to do this with just me and my team who's, the rest of them aren't here. And so know that I think the core is what works because we know it works. And instead of feeling like, oh, I'm being told to do this, this is what 1MC can be as a nation, and we are here to support you to get to those different places. And so if it's pipeline, let's keep talking about that. Let's keep connecting you on those statewide calls. You've got 3 other communities in Kansas. Why can't Lawrence head to Topeka? Why isn't Manhattan heading your way? Like, I want to flood you so hard that you have to go weekly. So we are here to help, and I think that's something that I want to make sure everyone feels from the regional rep kind of message. We are here to help, support, and connect all day on all ways. Why do we have the 5-year-old limit? I don't know. But I think it's oriented towards the newer companies who need the support in order to build. I want more conversation around that, though, and so let's maybe wait outside of this because I don't have all those answers. But it's an important piece in Kaufman's mission, and so understanding that it's the way that it is, and I want to get more down into the why. Oh no.
So, for an organizer committee group that wants to go weekly, is there and everybody has different responsibilities on the organizer team because you don't want to overwhelm any one or two people. How many people is an optimal number whose responsibility it will be to fuel the pipeline? Because that's others will support, but somebody's got to own it.
I'll repeat the question. Doug asked, how many people should be on your organizing team focused on this, and then who own that, right? I truly think the sweet spot for organizing teams is 4 to 6.
For the whole team?
For the whole team. You can have caffeinators that are within the community that have it on the tip of their tongue, that are inviting folks to present, that are part of your community, that ask the good questions during the Q&A without necessarily being active organizers. I think in the future we'll almost have something to graduate folks into. I think of Springfield. They have an advisory team of past organizers who allow the active organizers to ask questions. How did this work? Why didn't that work? And so that is an ability for us who have committed portions of our life into this movement to not just be done. Like, I voluntarily continuing to support you, but I'm not in the day-to-day. I'm not doing all the hard work, I suppose, in that active role. And so 4 to 6 feels really good because there's enough people doing enough things without too many cooks in the kitchen. I think it's common as lead organizers to feel like you're going to end up doing it all anyway, so you do. And then the rest of the 5 know that you're going to do it, so they end up not really doing anything. So having some roles identified is good. Everyone needs to be mindful of the pipeline. But it might not hurt to activate someone specifically, maybe 2, to really, that's their focus, right? You've got the person who's focused on sharing your story through marketing. You've got the individual who's always there early and setting up. You've got the person, who's always out there in the community and visibly showcasing 1MC. Having someone that's really mindful of that presenter pipeline can go a long ways. I saw some other questions too,
So where's the optimum pipeline lie? Because if I go, okay, I've got 2 this week, I've got none for the next 2 weeks, and so now I'm trying to fill those 2 weeks. Or I could go schedule the next 8 to apply out for the next 2 months and then backfill to get 2 where I can fill it in. And then I don't have desperation, then I have something every week. Where does the trade-off lie between getting 2 every week and maximizing the pipeline and avoiding desperation?
Are you monthly right now?
We're weekly.
We're weekly, okay. I think talking with the individuals on scheduling is kind of the first step. They might only be available on this Wednesday, but that goes unsaid almost. If it was me, I'd probably start filling them with 1 first, knowing that the stress is now released because we're good for the next couple months. And then continuing to focus once you get out to this comfort level. All right, let's get closer to core. Let's throw in 2, right? That would be my approach. Sure.
Going back to the 5-year limit, not to open up the discussion, but just something to just consider. I think it's like what I understand is the make or break of startups within that 5-year limit.
Yeah.
But a lot of companies I've seen, they might be older, but they haven't gotten through that startup phase. So I think that's why some people are asking, why is it just 5 years? They're still in startup phase, even though they're past 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take that specific piece of core and communicate within our next statewide call within the Midwest. I'm also going to share that there's some questions around that with HQ and allow the other regional reps to communicate some of the whys behind that. I feel a little ill-prepared not being able to share that out of the gate. But there's got to be, I know that there is a proper why, and what I've learned is that the why reduces the weird.
Yeah. I like that.
And so we'll get to that point, maybe not in this session, but let's keep those conversations flowing. This is a community of super sharp individuals, and so to ever close off the feedback circle would be a huge mistake. I love that. We are getting loud again and probably short on 15 minutes. Oh, we're good. I see a... Oh, now you tell me. All right. We have 16 minutes and 18 seconds. All right. Best practices for consistency in this area. What relationships should we leverage? Where should we recruit? How can previous presenters give back? I think we've answered those questions pretty well. The relationships leverage thing is something that we did talk about. Knowing that the network effect is not going to be long-term sustainability, but the fact remains diverse teams unlock new pockets, and activating those relationships can at least get the ball rolling in your journey towards community activation. Yeah, I've tried to do that, but maybe I forgot a couple times. All right, 15 minutes check. Okay. All right, 15 minutes, 20. Let's just look at the clock for the next few minutes. I'll continue to relay the questions so that everyone can hear. Sorry about the sound bleed over, but hopefully it's been easy to digest here this morning. What are other creative ways of building the pipeline besides presentation? I think of the good backup plans. Steve shared an interesting idea of literally, let's have some coffee, let's watch another community, we're part of something bigger, and let's talk about it as entrepreneurs. That's valuable. But let's get back to the core experience next week. Knowing that we've been doing this for 7 years every week, let's create a little freshness by inviting the community to participate in a reverse presentation. Let's do the panel. Let's shake it up just once in a while. But because it's every week, we can always get back to core to create the value of consistency while keeping things fresh with cool ideas that engage different types of folks doing different things. Yo, Madison, you got a question? he's doing this like a big stretch back there. Making presenting accessible to new entrepreneurs, how to work with... I can't read that. Making presenting accessible to new entrepreneurs. There's a tactic that makes me think of. Last year, I took one tactic away and implemented the next Wednesday. I was working as the MC role. Who here does the MC role? All right, so to my MCs or to the folks who share this with them, invite everyone to say, all right, who's here for the first time? Right? Oh, raise your... Keep them up. We like to track it. So now you have total. Then you have newcomers. All right, data. That's interesting. But to those newcomers, as your hands are raised, we definitely want to welcome you to come down and learn a little bit more about 1 Million Cups. We're excited to have you here. Oh, by the way, who else is organizers? Little social currency for the organizers in the room. Hey, connect with them as well. They'll teach you more about this thing. So now they feel welcome, and the maybe darker side is you're able to avoid the wrong first impression from folks within your community that might have less self-awareness. When you invite everyone, you get anyone, and being aware of that allows you to somewhat control those early narratives to give them a clear understanding of what 1MC is all about and the opportunity of continuing to attend. But guess what? When it's time, we'd love to have you present. What you're doing sounds amazing. Let's get you in the pipeline. And so that can be really inclusive for those newcomers. And in those early conversations, whether it's over coffee or whether it's in those moments afterwards, can be a good chance for you to really offer that welcoming vibe. What is a healthy number of people to have in your pipeline? I mean, when you are even a month out, I feel like most of us feel pretty good. 2 months out feels great, but then it starts to become a little fuzzy. Like, what entrepreneur is going to be, kind of in the same mindset 3 months from now? And so recognizing that it's not going to be like this forever pipeline ever, but the willingness to make it, maybe I think 1 or 2 months is probably the answer there, just to give you a straight kind of goal there. How to find entrepreneurs in hiding. That's fun. That's fun.
They don't want to be found. They're in hiding.
So a good suggestion.
Yeah,
for
that
that
boy. Nice work.
was we've connected with like the Fort Worth Business Plan competition.
Yes, good call.
So we encourage them to come and present and practice.
Good call.
So to speak.
Yeah.
And then we also other programs that are around.
So Deidre's reminder was that they tap into some of the other local competitions, the business pitch events, the like you said, the incubators. I think of like Startup Weekend.
Yes.
Anywhere like businesses are being formed and evolved and released is a natural chance to catch them on the release and invite them. This is the next step. Now you're real. Let's learn and help you continue to evolve. And so that goes back into ecosystem alignment stuff, thinking about some of those other business competitions, thinking about other ecosystem allies that are building, maturing, supporting, evolving businesses. Their end result are people that can be going straight into your pipeline. And so having relationships with those folks, educational organizations we mentioned as well, it's recurring crop type stuff. One tactic, we have an insurance accelerator in Des Moines, and so they end up, bringing like 6, 8 different companies through their cohort each year. So this is like, it's very easy. We have 6 or 8 companies that fills the pipeline pretty friendly. But I'm also conscious that I don't want to start creating like this insurance.com type experience, right? And so being strategic with those allies and spacing them out, if they're all within the industry, the same industry, might be a good tactic for keeping things unique while still tapping into their entire cohort and offering that as an opportunity. That also makes me think of another thing. Like, it's easy for, say, an accelerator to make presenting at 1MC a requirement. We value from the pipeline aspect of it, but this should never feel like a requirement. This is an opportunity for you to share your story in front of people you don't know, so when it matters, you'll be better prepared. If that's for you, then you're in, and most are. If that's not for you, this isn't extra credit. This is something that needs to be done for yourself, and if they can come in with that mindset, you'll have better presentations. Oh, we got the move too. Nice. Thank you, Wilmar, Minnesota. What is a healthy number of people to have? Okay, we talked about that. About 1 to 2 months feels super good. What is the best process for finding presenters? We've kind of talked a lot about that. Best steps to quickly get speakers signed up in the system. The application does take 10 or 15 minutes. It's part of the educational checkmark. If the mindset is this is where it starts, you want to present tomorrow, take 10 minutes today. If that's the mindset, it becomes less of this like gray area where you end up having to do more work, and the presentation might be great, but the community suffers because they didn't know what was going on because the website wasn't updated. Just go to the application. That is the starting gate, and whether you want to present tomorrow or 2 months from now, that's how it starts. Best practices for developing community partners that can help. Doug in Copper County, in Oakland County, Michigan, has been actively attending other events, building his own engaged network, and in doing so, talking about ways that 1 Million Cups can further be seen, be utilized in a give first mentality, so that the chambers, the folks down in downtown Detroit, all these different ecosystem allies see 1MC as a cool front door that they can actively be guiding folks into. And if that's their mentality, you might take a reminder or two, hey Kate, it's been a little while since we've seen someone come through from your cohort, from your co-working space. It's been some time since we've heard from that. Anyone in your neck of the woods. Anyone sound interesting lately? that might be a way to reactivate them. Then you get that person back into the fold. They're going to come back and spread the word about their experience. And now the rest of the co-working space is at least aware of the opportunity that might have been previously forgotten. Can nonprofits play a role? Who here has nonprofits present? Yeah. I think they definitely play a role, right? I think they definitely play a role. The nice thing about having two presenters on a weekly basis is that you get the opportunity to highlight one kind of industry, but also a nonprofit or a student organization or a student company, and then the most advanced tech app in the world. That contrast creates interest from attendees. And if you're thinking about why two instead of one, I struggle with that myself. There's an interesting effect of diving deep with one. I like that. But the ability to coach folks towards being concise, and from an attendee's perspective, not putting all my eggs in one basket if they have the wrongful mindset of it matters who's presenting. Giving them another way of hedging their bet, if you will, on the different types of companies they might hear about. There are reasons why two is optimal. And so getting to that, if a nonprofit helps support that effort towards core, I think that's a really neat chance, because nonprofits are doing things without the money goal always, but they're still building something that oftentimes needs a business mentality to stay organized and to do things well, to spread the word, to create the movement, to create the result they're trying to do takes business understandings. And so to me, it definitely makes sense to highlight those folks. And I think of events, just like we're talking about ecosystem activity, a way of getting behind it. One quick idea: themed months, a way of creating freshness while activating folks who might not otherwise be interested. I think of Female February, right? You got the female founders all coming in on February. We do Oktoberfest in Des Moines, so it's all beer flavored companies. Having a fun theme around a month can be a neat way of activating folks who might not have normally dove in, while creating freshness and something to use marketing around. And I think that can be a fun tactic that we can talk more about later. We are almost done and almost through this. This is great. We actually got through all this. That's fantastic. All right, I wait to the end of that. That felt good. I didn't know how this was going to go. I knew that this was made. We did that a couple weeks ago. But I was excited to see how people wanted to interact. I thought we might break into groups and talk, but I feel like with the Q&A we were able to get through what people wanted to talk about, while also making sure that we had some interactivity. That said, we should probably close with any sort of other questions. Know that I'm here forever, so we can talk about anything you specifically have on your mind. But is there anything else from the group that might help accelerate those who have been a part of this, or questions that would help continue to move us in the right direction?
Overall comment is, there's so many great tactics from group and yourself as you're explaining. Maybe it exists. But if there were not a book, but files of, here's a great way to do a town ad, here's a way to reward, just examples, because if we have to make it up, we may know the idea, hey, it's great to reward people, but then we have to make it up and get agreement, with our team. But if there are specific, let's do a number A.
Sure.
Right?
So Doug's suggestion was creating a playbook, just for a use of a term that highlights some of these things that you can reference, so that it's not just hoping you remember the magic of 1MCOS, but something that you can refer back to.
We can take it back to our teams, and that way there's no lost communication.
Absolutely.
We don't have to be here.
know that that's something we want to provide to continue adding clarity on the how and the why and the what. That helps if you know what you're trying to do and how to get there to do it. And so know that we're here for you on that front for sure. Yuval, sure.
Talked earlier about the 5-year things. But we're going to do some kind of a breakout for the President Foundation. What this is talking about is the business is younger than 5 years. They're more friends. They're more likely to spend on it. Once you get past that 5-year mark, and we're more business partners, capital, major expansions.
So that's interesting, Yvonne.
5 years, I would say, is because of that fragility. And then support and may help that business get past that.
Yeah. And maybe that's where the disconnect is, right? The before the 5-year thing is for presenters who need the support in those earlier moments, but it's not saying those folks who are outside of this 5-year mark aren't invited to participate. And that might be the balance that we're striking with the 5 years and under. So thanks, Yuval. That's good insight. We can continue that conversation for sure. San Diego. We're time? Oh, we did it. All right. So my name's once again Ben McDougal, Ben Ovator on Twitter, and 1MC Midwest on Twitter. So I'm looking forward to taking a look at some of the activities and giving that Tribes book away to someone afterwards. Enjoy the rest of your day, my friends.
Nice job.